All right, what's up, everyone? My name's Justin Odisho. Welcome back to episode 12 of the podcast, and this is actually a very special one. I don't usually do the intros right in front of people, but today we're doing our first in-person podcast with a video tag-along piece. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello. If you're listening on iTunes, you can check it out on YouTube for the video version. But today, joined with me, finally, someone around the area. This is cool, in person. I got Nick Margetic, right? I pronounced it right?
That's right, Margetic, Argentine.
Okay, cool. I was going to ask you that. Nick is a director, editor, creator, and he's coming off of a pretty big past year, I'd say, shooting and like being a part of some of the biggest videos coming out of the city here of Detroit. And so I wanted to sit down and talk with Nick, kind of get some of his story and how he got himself into this I say it like it's a bad thing, how he put himself in position to have those moments, because I think a lot of you listening might be maybe in his shoes a couple years ago, maybe networking around your city, shooting local videos, like hustling, trying to catch that moment. So we're going to get into it, see what he's up to, where he's been and where he's going.
Let's do it.
What's up? That was all one take.
Not bad.
That was pretty clean,
honestly,
right?
I'm pretty impressed.
So Margetic, it's Argentinian?
Yes, and well, my father's from Argentina, that's his last name, but his family was from Scandinavia, and I believe that my last name in its origin tongue is pronounced Margetic.
Margetic, okay.
But that's kind of a mouthful for America.
So where did Margetic come from?
To be honestly, I don't know.
So that's where you get the fair features, the Scandinavian. I couldn't peg like what you were. I was like, Greek, what is he?
People normally think I'm like Polish or
like something like that. But how did you get started, picking up a camera, getting into the creative field? Was it since you were young?
Well, I always think that I started later than I actually did. But I guess I always was infatuated by cameras. When I was young, even when I'd be playing like on the trampoline with my friends, or I was really into like swords and, like Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff. I was a little bit of a nerd, still am. And during that time, like we used to, play games, and we used to create these characters. And a part of me always wanted to, capture it and document it so that I could show whoever, it didn't matter. And doing that early on, and I never really was like truly connected with it. It was just kind of more of like a fantasy. And then I got into skateboarding, and I don't know if you know about the skateboarding culture, but one thing that's very important with skateboarding is that you have to capture your tricks. Because if you didn't film it, then it didn't happen. So we filmed everything. I was the guy who would be filming. I'd also be skating, and I'd have to always convince and beg my friends to let me film, because at first they didn't, that it takes time. It's a commitment. You have to do multiple takes. It has to look right. It has to be in focus, blah, blah, blah. So, skateboarding kind of like jump-started it for me.
How old were you when you were?
I was 13. 13 when I started.
Pretty young, I'd say.
Yeah. And this is actually not too uncommon of a story, I think, for music video directors. Like even a guy I look up to, Colin Tilley, I know he came up from a similar background. Came up in the skateboarding extreme sports world. Camera Jesus in Detroit, very dope photographer. He came out in the same thing, extreme sports. So that kind of segued into short films. I got some scholarships, and I won some money for college off of a couple things I did in high school with video. And one day, how I really got into shooting music videos is I was at a hookah lounge when I was 18, and I was chilling, relaxing, not really doing too much. And this kid, he was rapping, he's freestyling. And I myself love to freestyle. And if you know me, then you know this to be true. So if I see another person freestyling, I will go up to them. I will join. And I did. We got to talking, and he asked me, oh, what do you do? I told him, well, I like to film. I make short films, blah, blah. He said, how much do you charge for a music video? And at that moment, like, my brain opened in a way, because I'd never envisioned myself making money off of shooting video. It was just always something that I enjoyed and I was passionate about. So when he asked me, I kind of froze, and I have no idea. $100, I guess. He's like, oh, okay, bet, you're hired. So I was like, sweet. And I'd prepped for it. I filmed it, and 4 years later, here I am doing this podcast.
And so that's a very similar story to. I just had Jacob on the show last time. He said like a very similar thing. Like he used to draw characters, do all this crazy stuff when he was a kid.
Right.
And then somebody just asked him.
Shout out Jacob Owens.
Yeah, shout out Jacob. Somebody just asked him, yo, you want to do a music video for me? I know you're into cameras. Like, how much do you charge? And you're like, well, I guess I do music videos. So take it back before that, though. I want to get into, like you said, you're Argentinian. So were you born here? Did you move here? Did your parents immigrate here?
I was born in Michigan. My mom was born in Canada, but my dad was born in Argentina. But I tie most closely with my dad's heritage and my dad's roots because honestly, they're very like family oriented, and they make great food and they do all kinds of sweet shit. So like I always gravitated to that part of my ethnicity, and so only my dad came from Argentina, so I'm half and half.
Okay, so because how close to Detroit were you? Like, were you in like always in this area or in the?
I was born in
area?
Pontiac.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was I guess northwest, from Detroit, and from Pontiac I moved to Rochester Hills, and I went to high school in Auburn Hills at Avondale, class 2013. Shout outs, and then I. Pretty much when I graduated, I went to Oakland University for like a couple years, and I moved to Hazel Park. I got a crib, and ever since then, I've been kind of like pretty close to Detroit. South of 9 Mile.
Yeah, and I think everyone that lives in this metro area, that this city of Detroit influences them coming up. It's like
big time.
I was born in Detroit, but then our family moved as well. But I went to Detroit public schools. We're always going down, and not my whole like. I moved in like second or third grade. But
right. We had a stint.
I think it instills something in you. Like,
hustle.
Yeah. What did it instill in you?
Hustle.
Absolutely.
100%. I remember I used to have a job in high school, and like I hated it. I just like I worked at an ice cream shop at first when I was 16. That was my first job. And my dad owned a soccer club. I had like toyed around with coaching, but like my first like employment was the ice cream shop. And the only reason why I liked working there is because it was like me and all girls and my boy Mark. Shout out Mark. and we had I used to have fun, just like flirting, but I always hated having a boss. To me, like that was like I don't know. It wasn't that I didn't respect them, or it wasn't that I didn't like think that they were like good at what they do or whatever. I just did not like taking orders. And as a result, like my work ethic was a little shoddy. Yeah. Like but when it came to skateboarding, or when it came to making short films, or like I was in musical theater and like all kinds of shit. When it was something I was interested in, I would hustle, and I would constantly improve, and I'd want to document it and want to share it. But if I wasn't interested, then I would kind of put it to the back burner. So when I really started coming into the city, I realized that you got to get it out the mud. So if you don't hustle, then you're not going to come up. You're not going to get the jobs you want. So Detroit definitely installed a lot of hustle into me that I didn't really get when I was like, in the burbs. Yeah.
Did you have any other siblings or anything? I know your parents had that family culture.
Exactly.
Did your siblings have any influence on you?
Yeah. Specifically, I had I'm the youngest. So I had 2 older sisters and 1 older brother. And they all had different influences on me. My oldest sister got married and kind of moved to a different state. So I always looked up to her, but we were more distant. And my brother, Patricio Margetic Jr., he really had a big influence on me even doing this at all, because he's a music artist himself. And he was signed to Denon Porter when I first started shooting video. He had a label called, what was the label called? I don't remember what the label was called.
And who is Denon Porter?
He is a member. He's a former member of D12. And so he's, came up with Eminem, Bizarre, all those guys. And Pato was signed to him. He was at the studio all the time with like Royce, the 5'9", and like Kid Vicious and Young Rock, other people. And as in like an 18-year-old, I'd like find my way to that studio and like pick up little jobs, and it kind of like kickstart my like network and that shit. So he definitely had a big impact on like my come up.
Yeah. And he's older than you?
Yeah, 10 years.
Now I'm wondering if Nick is short for like Nicolado or something.
I wish. That'd be way more exciting.
No, but that's really interesting that you had an older brother. You said 10 years?
10 years, yeah.
Okay, so he's significantly older than
Correct.
you, like a generation ahead, and he was in these studios
Right.
in the city.
Making music.
What kind of music did he make?
Motown, soul, R&B, acoustic.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a John Mayer type guy. I mean, except he's Pato.
Love
but
John Mayer. Shout
yeah,
out John
yeah.
Mayer.
Shout out John Mayer, and that new album is so fire.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he made like lighter hearted music. Definitely not like the kind of shit I was shooting music videos for.
Yeah.
But
So like, how old were you when you were in those like hanging out in the studio?
18.
About 18.
Mm-hmm. It was about
And
18.
you said you were picking up jobs. What kind of jobs were you picking up?
Photo shoots, just little things, promo videos. I went down to South by Southwest when I was 18. I skipped my college exam for it. And I went down to Texas, in like a van full of like a whole bunch of like rappers, and like I got paid like $150 to like go down there and like shoot for 3 days, and just like little things, man. Like I just like little profits, and everything that I would make, I would stack, and then invest, and that was that Detroit hustle. And I did that for like 2-3 years straight.
And what did you like? You saved up all this money for what was it? One big purchase or something?
No, it was a bunch of I mean, every time it was a big purchase, I started off with a T3i, the ultimate startup camera of like 2010, and I purchased a 6D first, which was like $2,000 at the time. I was like 18, so that was like a lot of cash for me at that time. And then I copped some lenses, varying in price from like $500 to a couple thousand. I got support gear, I got computers, and like $500, $1,000, $2,000, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So all in the meantime, I was trying to have a social life, go out every once in a while, hang with my friends, go up to state or go up to like one of the colleges and have fun. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of time for fun though, as far as like, I guess the classic definition of like young adulthood fun.
Yeah.
So just a bunch of little investments over time.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to that. And obviously you can start nowadays with just your phone, and I recommend anyone do. But yeah, it adds up. Your camera, your lens, your whatever, and
support gear, your computers, your software,
all these microphones and stuff. But so did you start off doing photography first? Was it video right away, or like was it just the still photos?
I always liked photography, but like I never like really went down the path of like purchasing photo gear.
Yeah.
So I, when I had my T3i or whatever, and I'd be like doing skate videos or short films, like I'd always snap up photos too. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I knew some stuff about the settings, and it was cool. It was something that I liked, but I really went down that motion path because, to me, it was just more exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of people might think that capturing a single frame is more exciting, and it can be. But I decided not to get, the strobes and that kind of equipment. And of course, if I was going to go into photo, that's what I would have wanted to do. I don't think that equipment makes the artist, but I think that you need the right tools, you need utensils at your side to create.
Yeah, absolutely. You just use the best you have at
that time
at your hand. So did you travel a lot? You said you had that thing where you went with a van full of people. Was that like couple week experiences?
I didn't travel a whole lot in the beginning. I went to Texas. That was big for me at that time. Was
that your first time leaving Michigan?
Well, no. But that was my first time leaving for video,
Yeah.
So like I left. That was huge. That was kind of like when I that was like one of those early moments where I kind of was going to start deciding that college wasn't for me. And I went to Texas, and then I went to like Flynn, just like not far, nowhere too far ever. Until I turned about 20. I went to Toronto with an artist named Willie J. Peso. It was dope at the time. And then I really just started traveling over the course of the last like year and a half when I started getting into with the labels and with corporations and stuff like that.
So you're getting into label work now, but
right.
How did it start? What were your first, like you were in college, you had the kind of built up the confidence that,
right.
Okay, wow, I can make money off of this. Oh, I'm getting to go to these places. You see opportunity in it. How did that kind of start from the first stages? Was it just like you said, at the Hookah Lounge, that first music video.
Right.
Then what happened?
Well,
Did you post that on, like, is that when you created a YouTube channel?
yeah,
I mean,
no,
before
I
the
had a
skater one?
YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel. I was putting my short films on it, and they were popping. I was making short films, and the high school was, they liked them
Yeah.
because it was dope. It was different. No one was doing it. We were like doing little zombie things and little dramas and shit. I like to write too, so I wrote some scripts, and I wrote some scripts with one of my childhood best friends, John. He also came up with me in the beginning, and he's also right next to me. Shout out John.
Shout out to John.
And I oh shit, well, I've lost my train of thought. What did you do after that?
So you had that video at the Hookah Lounge.
Right. Okay.
Was he happy with it?
Yeah,
Was he like,
no,
what
he was
is
happy.
this? Did
No,
you
he was
ever
happy.
shot
He
a
was
video
happy.
before?
I needed a lot of development.
Yeah.
I was new. It was my first music video, but
What'd you do with that check? You just saved it? Is that when you
oh
started?
man, $100 cash, 520s, baby. I put that shit right in my wallet. Probably got some food or something with that first payment. I don't think I was looking into investing too much back then.
But then
But-
what, did he hire you for another one, or did he say, hey, my buddy here also wants a video?
Yeah, he tried to plug me in with his guys, but no comment. And then I did a couple videos for my brother after that. Like I said, he's a musician, and we were we were both living with our parents at the time, and so we did a couple videos and had some fun. I popped up at the studio, like I said, where he was at, and then I started meeting some people. I came up on some producers and artists. Like I met Young Rock there, and Young Rock introduced me to Oba Roland and some other people, and I met Royce there. I did his baby shower. That was one of my early jobs. It was super dope. And I just kind of did a few like $100-$200 music videos for a couple different various hip hop artists, and I did, I think, a wedding that first summer too. So I kind of like started to put my name out there in the wedding community, and I would just take everything that I could get at that time. Because at that time it was either I'm going to make this money and I'm going to do these jobs so I can invest, or I'm not going to do this, because you can't, beggars can't be choosers in the beginning. So I paid my dues, heavily paid my dues. There was times where I didn't get paid. There was times where I was dealing with shady people I didn't know. There was times where I had no idea what kind of situations I was getting myself into, but I always took them in stride. And, it was just a lot of ambition and a lot of just a lot of hope at that time too. Like the big dreams and like big city dreams, and envisioning yourself in these situations, and just doing what you can to take a step closer to that every day was like really what I was focused on at that time. I was going to school, but that shit wasn't for me.
Where did those big ambitions come from? Because not everybody knows or has those.
I mean, I think they were installed in me by my father first and foremost. My dad, he was born in Argentina, and he grew up in a very, very poor area of Asian era, which is like a slum outside of Buenos Aires, which is the capital of Argentina. Yeah. And he was a very gifted soccer player.
I was just going to say soccer.
Mm-hmm.
When I thought Argentina, I thought soccer.
Exactly. So he was a walking Argentina stereotype. And he was very gifted soccer player, and he had a lot of friends, in the slum that did a lot of drugs and a lot of like pretty crazy things that he ultimately could have definitely gotten into, but he decided to go with passion instead. And his friends, actually kind of kept him away from doing some of the things that he were doing, kept him on track. And he took his ambitions, and he built himself a professional soccer career and moved to America and started a family. So, I mean, that was my role model. That was my OG. Okay. And he kind of like always installed into me. He wanted me to play soccer, but I didn't. I like sports. I'm athletic, but soccer was not my strong suit. So he kind of inspired me at a young age to just do whatever I liked. And as a result, I think that had a big impact on me. And my brother, he was a musician. He has been for years and years. So yeah, that was another role model, of course. Yeah. So I looked up to those two guys, and it definitely inspired me to have big city dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you were doing all these videos at the time. You weren't working, like you had the ice cream shop job, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Did you have any other odd jobs and things?
Yeah, I worked at a Shell gas station. that I used to visit all the time with Tony. He was like this strict Chaldean dude, but he was like, I fuck with Chaldeans. So he was cool. And I worked there for like a year. I also worked at the sports stadiums with this brand called Brand Affinity. I used to be the guy who would like run around and try and take your photos in the stands and like, you know, like get you to come in front of the green screen and pay $20 for it. That's me. It's good days. But that company like went absolutely bankrupt. And when that kind of dried up, that's when I decided like, okay, this is the last job that I'm going to have. That's like, you know, that because I was like 19 when that, you know, closed. So I had already been in the game for a year. And I think at that point was when I really decided like, okay, I think I'm just going to, you know,
go for it.
Put my whole attention into myself from this point forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a similar moment like that. And so I know what must have been going on in your head then. You're looking at your budget, your finances, whatever your situation, and you have an option, right? Work, school, and then your creative passions. Did that scenario play out in your head?
Yeah, a whole bunch, man. Like I was going to school and I liked it.
Yeah.
Like I did like it overall, and I feel like anything that I apply myself to in this life, I am confident that I'll do well because I won't let myself, you know, slip or fall, and I'm self-motivated, and I believe that I'm multi-talented and I'm hardworking, which is first and foremost. So talent and, you know, everything else is second to hard work, I believe. So I think I definitely could have excelled in school, but you know, when I was balancing what you just said, the school and the work and my creative passions, the creative passion is just what excited me the most. So I definitely had that moment. Well, first it was with work, you know. First I cut work out of that equation, and I said, okay, forget that. If I'm broke, I'm broke. If I win, then I win. I'm gonna take it by the heels and just do what I can, and you know, but I'll still go to school. And I started, you know, picking up more clients. You know, momentum builds. Obviously, the more time you put into it, the more work you have out there. The bigger your network is. I started to get a little name for myself. I got like a catchy name on Instagram, and people always just recognized it. And I was like I was like the only white kid in Detroit who was like doing what I was doing. So I stood out like a sore thumb.
A tall Argentinian kid too.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like a culture shock for like, you know, some of the people I was working with, and like it was becoming a little bit of an experience, you know, to have me like on set with them, because it was this young white kid who's like dancing and rapping and shooting, like, you know, and doing crazy shit. So I was doing that, and I was building my brand, and I came to a point where like even my mom was kind of like starting to tell me like, Nick, you should drop out of college. And I was like, and my dad was a little skeptical. But and I was skeptical, but my mom was saying, just drop out. Really?
That's like rare. I feel like
very rare.
Like nobody would have that.
Very rare. Exactly. So my mom kind of enthused me to do it, and I wanted to anyways, bro. Yeah. Like, so when I dropped school out of the equation, it definitely freed up a lot of mental space. And once you really decide to put 100% into something, you will notice like big results. So once I dropped school, and I kept my focus more spotlit instead of flooded all over the place, that's when I really started to make huge leaps and bounds.
And what were those huge leaps and bounds in? So you quit school.
Yeah, I picked up a couple.
Dropped out, and then what? You're like, okay, now what was the goal then? Just to make enough money to survive, or?
Well, the goal was always
Obviously
the same.
You're not like life or death, but
no. But the goal was always the same, man. Like number one, earn it by myself. Be my own boss, and continue to do dope work that I believe in. And at that time, I believe that my goal was to just become more recognized in the city and expand my horizons. So I was kind of doing music videos, and I was doing like a couple of sprinkled weddings, and every once in a while I do an odd job. But then I started picking up corporate clients like right when I dropped out. That's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why too. So like that's when I started seeing real money. Because with music videos, even 2-3 years in, I was even working with some of the hottest artists in the city at that time. You know, the Vezos and Cash Dolls and Payrolls and blah blahs and Blue Blues. But I still wasn't seeing a whole lot of like cheese. So like when I started working with corporations and they put me on a contract and they would, like pay for all my travel and they would, actually pay me like good. And like, I was like, damn, this is possible. And once I saw some money, I was able to open my mind with my videos and say, look, I'm going to put in more work than anybody else into these music videos. I'm going to do what I can to try and shift the expectation of quality around here and like step the bar up. And I'm going to charge more for it. And ultimately, I'm going to put a whole lot more into it. So once I kind of developed that mindset, then it really started to expand my brain, and I started to realize what I was capable of. I mean, half of the time you're afraid of what you're capable of. So right when you want to put in 100%, you kind of convince yourself not to because, well, what if I fail?
Yeah.
And once I had a little bit of financial safety net in the bank, I said, fuck it, let me just go crazy. And then we started, the price started going up for music videos, and the caliber of artists started to increase, and we would work with people who were a lot more established and people who took their craft more seriously, and that led to a lot of other doors open. I don't know.
So music videos is what you were more passionate about, and you were just kind of doing the commercial work. What kind of commercial work, for example? I was
and still am working with a company called Mimic Insurance. So they do teachers insurance.
Are they local?
Yeah, they started in Detroit, I believe, but they're also in Wisconsin and Illinois. So they're a pretty decent sized corporation, and they kind of took a chance on me. It's funny, they actually one of their interns shot me a DM, and I almost lost their DM in translation to all of the rapper DMs, yo, what your price is, and yo, you charge what, or what up, white boy. And then there was one who was hi, this is Sydney from Mimic Insurance. And I was like, what the fuck at that time. So I clicked it. I'm so thankful that I clicked it, because if I would have let it go, that would have been a great relationship that would have never been built. So always take a chance always take that extra couple seconds if you have it. If you think about doing it, then just do it, as far as responding to an email or checking into someone, because sometimes they'll surprise you. And so when I started working with them, I was passionate about it, but it was a little bit, it wasn't flashy. It wasn't a music video. It was, calm, relaxing, corporate, which is cool in its own, and it's an art in its own, but it's definitely it doesn't have that wow factor that a music video brings.
It was more work.
Yeah,
it was less
work.
Creative.
Sure.
More professional.
But at that time, with the less creativity and the more professionalism came a bigger paycheck.
Yeah.
Which was amazing for investments and just my comfort. I was driving around a beater. I was driving around a Cobalt that made the worst engine sounds, and I had to stuff a crane into it, and I was cramped. I could barely move, and I was driving in that bitch for 2 years back and forth from Detroit to Rochester, and didn't care, never did. But when I was actually, I was able to get a nice car, and that I could actually put my equipment into, and I started to see that damn, not only is there money in this industry, but if you play your cards right, if you hustle hard, then not only can you live, but you can live good. And that's when I said, fuck it, let me go next level with the videos, or at least for what I'm capable of.
So you jumped back into the music videos as your bigger focus. Who were some of the pivotal artists that you established a relationship with? You said you were already working with some big names in the city. What were some of those moments that you can remember, like Royce the 5'9" or something, knowing him or knowing this person? Yeah,
well, one of the most pivotal moments for me early on was there's a producer named Dre Butters in the city, and he had a album release party, a listening party, and he debuted a music video that I shot for him there. And oh my gosh, the music video, looking back now, is terrible. But for whatever reason, people liked it at that time. I guess it was different and yada yada. But at that party, there was a lot of high profile people who were good people to meet. I met DJ BJ there from 107.5. I ended up building a relationship with him and doing some work. I met another artist named Sino there, who's pretty dope guy. I did some good work with him, and through Sino I met a guy named Roger, and Roger owns an amazing studio, and this party kind of kickstarted a few relationships for me. So I would say that was a pivotal moment when my video got displayed to this party. Definitely built a relationship with BJ from 107.5 and Sino and Roger and a few other really cool people. Vezo, I had an early relationship with Vezo, I swear. Eastside. I did videos with him and his boys and Peasy and a couple other guys early on. Those were like videos that like were getting hundreds of thousands of views and like the views that I had like never imagined or seen before. So that was pretty pivotal. It helped me, gave me a kickstart, and it definitely made for a hilarious picture. Me with all those guys like on 6 Mile and Shaner. So
I'm laughing because I know what's to come.
Yeah.
So you're networking with all these people. So you're getting views you've ever seen. Did you feel like this is it? I made it, kind of?
No, I never did. Because the thing is, I always wanted more. And I think that's why people respected me, is because good was never good enough for me. I always wanted to do something more. I always wanted to hustle. Whether or not it was the best project you ever seen in your life or not, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it cool, and then I wanted to do another one. And I had that mindset for years strong. So I never really felt like I made it. And honestly, even now, I make pretty good money. I can support myself. I've hired a couple guys, and even now, I definitely don't feel like I've made it. Hell no. Yeah. I feel like I'm in the right direction, but I know that there's a lot more to achieve, and there's a lot more to go, a lot more to learn.
Yeah. So what was that next moment then? So you picked up some traction from the listening party. Did you meet like someone specific and shot a specific video? That was another one. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I met BJ, and obviously he did a song at that time where like he kind of did like one of those like DJ Khaled style songs where he like hosts it and then he brings artists together. I shot that video, and BJ was connected and plugged, and he like kind of like little broed me for a while, and he'd bring me out on live shows. I went out with like Ray Shremmerd and like Yo Gotti and Future and a couple people, and he would be DJing and I'd be there capturing it on stage, which was dope. And some of these relationships led to other ones. I worked with an artist named Nisha Nashe, who I still work with now. She's now signed to Rock Nation, and we got some dope work in. But of course, the big one would be Tee Grizzley, obviously, and that's a whole story of its own. So I feel free to ask me whatever you want.
Let's get into it. So how did you first meet? How did your relationship with Tee Grizzley start?
So Tee, I had never heard his name. I had never seen him or heard of him, and I knew everybody in the like Detroit hip hop rap scene. I had been around. I was a very recognizable character.
This is about like 2 years, 3 years.
Tee Grizzley is less than a year ago now.
Well, you like doing all this work with DJ BJ and stuff.
Yeah, no, this was like 2.5, 3 years ago. Like
putting in work,
Yeah, about 2 years ago is when I like really was like known and recognized and like kind of starting to get respected in the city.
And so this relationship with Tee Grizzley, when did that start?
This started about a year ago, almost a year ago from today. The first time that I ever talked to Tee was on the phone. His manager called me. He had just gotten out of jail. And his manager got my number from a producer named Helava. Who's a good friend of mine. Helava does like everybody's beats in Detroit. Yep. He's super dope. And Helava got my number from Nisha. So obviously people are connected and making relationships is important. So back to Tee. His manager called me. She got my specs. How much do you charge? This, that, the third. And, she kind of hit me. I had no idea who she was. And she called me kind of late. And she kind of just like bullet like point fire line, like hit me with all these questions. And I was like, who are you? Right. And it kind of caught me off guard. But I said, you know what? Who cares? It's someone who wants a video. And I'm sure that he has an interesting story. Okay, send me over the song. And they sent over the song. And the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, this is dope. I wasn't like blown away until like the third or fourth time that I heard the song. And then I was like, okay, this is a fucking banger. But so yeah, he was 2 or 3 days out of jail when they called. And she said, look, we need this video to be, conceptualized, shot, edited, everything released, boom, within the next 4 days. I was like, okay, shit, well, let's do it then. So we met up. We met downtown. We talked about the treatment. We had an original if our original first day out treatment came to life, it would have been so much different than the video that actually
What was that?
Man, we had all kinds of crazy shit. We had like chase scenes and like someone getting lit on fire, and like it was It was like some like violent action movie, Detroit horror story type shit. But
Was there like a budget behind it, or like a label situation? He had a manager.
Yeah, he had a manager. There was like not like a true budget behind it at that point. It was kind of like, I mean, there was like we made money off it, you know, but like it wasn't like a huge job.
I'm thinking like he had a manager. Is that because he was signed to something?
His manager is actually related to him.
Okay.
So they're family, and I guess that they saw some
talent.
She saw talent, and T's a bright kid.
Yeah.
You know, he's smart, and he not only did he go to college, but I think he went on scholarship, and he's bright. So he's someone that definitely like is, you know, you can get behind. But yeah, we didn't really have much. We didn't have much money to play with. You know, we kind of just like resourced a lot of things, and like the only thing that was in the original treatment that actually ended up like getting like screen time in the video was the scene where T is back to back with himself in the basement.
A cool shot.
Yeah, we ended up using his uncle.
I was gonna say, did you do some sort of post production cloning?
Yeah. No, we did like honestly like it was a lot more. It was like pretty simple to make it happen, but like I think that the effect got pulled off, which is dope.
Yeah.
So yeah, we shot that video. 4 days, shot, edited, everything, boom, done. And they dropped it on For Show Mag. Shout out to Joe. And when they dropped it, I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know who called who. I don't know how it happened, but. And you know what? Before I get into this, when we were shooting First Day Out, there was a certain aura to T. We were around, and there were people who came with T, and then there was people who were just kind of like in the area while we were shooting and when we were shooting. And T had like this certain star quality to him that was like radiating to everywhere he went. And, you know, but to me, he was, you know, I didn't know him. I didn't know who he was. No one knew who he was. But when he was out, people gravitated to him. And I remember we ran into Band Gang at the shoot, and, you know, they were fucking with him. They were fucking with the song. And just everywhere we went, we played that song, people would, you know, be vibing, kind of going crazy. And T at that time was a little bit more shy and a little bit more reserved. But, yeah, he had this star quality. So when we dropped the video, we definitely didn't think it was about to be like what it was. But, and granted, if we did know, we would have probably, you know, did all kinds of different shit because, you know, it's 80 million views.
Yeah, and maybe it wouldn't have happened like that.
Yeah, but, you know, you never know. You can't control it. But when it dropped, I remember clicking the refresh button after like 10 minutes just to like check on the views. And it was at like 8,000 views or like something like that, like ridiculous. And I was like, holy shit. This is at
pretty fast.
8 million views, or this is at 8,000 views. This has been like 10 minutes. So I remember I had my guy Everett with me. He shot it with me, and I edited it. But we were excited, and you know we were kind of geeked, and like at that point I think we started to realize that like this could be something like pretty monumental. Yeah. And the next day we woke up, it was at like 50K, and then like it got to 100K, and our families were getting involved, and like our girlfriends were hype, and like it was just like this little movement that was going on. Yeah. And like the views climbed, and I remember when we reached 1 million, we had a little celebration, and we were like, damn, this is, you know, the first time either of us had touched 1 million, and you know, this guy T's blowing up, and you know, he's booking shows across the city, and you know, we built a good relationship with him. He's fucking with us. We're gonna do more videos. We were excited. And you know, 1 million turned into 2 turned into 5 turned into 10 turned into 25 turned into 50 turned into 75.
Yeah.
And it was just, man, you just never know.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna pop.
I think combined it's probably like at 100 million or something.
Oh my gosh, yeah, between all the places where it's at.
For sure, one of the biggest songs to come out now, like in hip hop in the past couple years, but like out of the city.
Oh my
like
gosh,
it's gotta be.
That shit was so monumental, man. And like,
so how did that feel? Like, you know, waking up, like your girlfriend's calling you, like, oh my gosh, I hit 1 million.
Yeah.
And it just you keep clicking refresh, and it keeps going up and up and up. And just for some context, if you watch the video, you know, I mean, it says in the first 10 seconds, it's like directed by Nick Margetic and Everett Stewart.
Yep,
which
exactly.
is your kind of production team with John.
Yep, the three of us.
MVP.
Yep.
Or BMVP.
Yep. And that actually, First Day Out was like like our second or third video that like when we were like a team.
So you already had a team set, like you're already setting up a team before.
I had just set up my team before First Day Out. And like when First Day Out happened, we were kind of like, all right, well, fuck it. We might as well just like do some shit together.
Yeah.
Because I had done, like I said, I had been hustling and grinding for like 2-3 years, like, solo, you know, and I think at my peak when I was solo 2 or 3 years ago, I got a couple like $600 or $700, like maybe $1,000 music videos that I was hype on. And like, you know, the money was like secondary, but I probably like accumulated about 100 music videos solo, maybe like 120, and like some weddings and some corporate things. And so First Day Out was like, I think the fourth or maybe fifth video that I had done when I like started to build this, you know, team. And then the team stayed consistent for like all the Tee videos that we did. So it was super dope.
So what was that week like? Did you just rip everything up? And my price went up. This happened. Like,
our price didn't jump like super dramatic. We were already in the process of jumping our price up at that time, and I don't know. Like, price is like a sensitive thing around here, but I really stopped caring a long time ago. Like, I don't rip anybody off. I let you know exactly what I'm going to charge, and then I think I like do more work than they expect for it. So like, I didn't just say fuck everybody, I'm popping now. Because I have this hustle and, you know, mentality. Like, even though First Day Out was out and it was dope at the time, you know, it still is dope. I mean, I was already thinking about, okay, what am I going to do next? So I was just ready to book more shit, and of course we had a little bit more interest after that. Yeah. But honestly, like, right when First Day Out dropped, like, we were starting to get I was like getting a lot of interest, like, and even like before it dropped a little bit, I was at a point where I was getting a lot of inquiries, probably like 10 or like 5 or 10 a day.
Yeah. And what were there any like label type of inquiries at this point? Or?
Just independent labels, you know, small things. Yeah. But no majors, no.
Did you like? Do you watch YouTube? Like, do you see all the people reacting to the video?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, of course. I watched all that shit.
Yeah, like, you know, Zayas is like that really big.
Yeah.
The two dudes,
oh my gosh.
They react to it and they like flick the lighter.
Yeah. No, that's super classic, man. Like,
so it was probably fun, like, seeing all that.
Yeah, it was fun, man. And like, it's crazy because when like so many people have seen, because like I mean, 80 million people, that's a lot of people.
I've seen your name. Yeah.
That's so like.
And your work. But, like,
right. And like, you know, when we made that video, you know, we approach every video with the same mentality that we're going to do the best that we can right now, considering our circumstances, every time. So like, you should shoot every project and make every project with the anticipation that it's going to get 80 million views, because you never know what you're going to want to change, you know, or you never know like what things you'll feel self-conscious about if it really blew up, or what shortcomings that you might have like kind of ignored or passed over. And I'm not saying we did any of that for First Day Out, but like, even just growing so much in this last year, like, we've grown an incredible amount since First Day Out, you know. Yeah. So even the growth during this time, you know, I look back and I reflect and I appreciate, like, you know, the younger version of myself and what I did. But of course, I wish I would have done things different, or I wish I would have cleaned up some things, or I wish, you know, this would have been this, because it was such a big audience. Yeah. But, you know, if you approach every project as though the audience will be that big, then I think that you'll definitely have your best results.
And you are pretty young. How old were you when you shot the video?
21.
And that was just like almost coming up on a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Just to put in perspective for you, like, my entire YouTube channel, I think, is at like 30 million views.
That's impressive too, man.
But like, that's a bit like, and so that's not the only video that's ended up reaching 1 million views for you. So what was the next step? Obviously, you guys probably were playing chess at this point, or thinking a little bit more strategically on how to capitalize off of this.
We had to. So, I mean, at that time, we decided that we wanted to start doing like what we considered to be like epic music videos. So like there was like a certain expectation. There was like there were like kind of like rules that were like being followed by like these like Detroit videographers. Like, the videos were very simple. They were like typically 1 or 2 locations, nothing special, and not a whole lot of coordination, nothing that was like super cinematic. So after we dropped First Day Out, we said, fuck it, let's do treatments. Let's do original treatments. Let's like push these artists like out of their like comfort zone and like do things that are a little bit more produced, and, you know, charge more, and just like make like sweeter, more epic videos that are like feel like movies, or feel like, feel like a music video. So we started to play our cards like that. And so we did a lot of treatment writing. We did a lot of coordinating. We, you know, gathered a lot of props, and, you know, cashed out on a lot of relationships. And, you know, we started to play chess like that. We did another video with T. It was called Second Day Out. That was the second video that we did. It did not release for a little while, but we did that maybe 3 or 4 weeks later. And I was starting to get myself. I've always been musically inclined myself. I was in musical theater, and I like to freestyle. I was always involved with music. So around that time, I started getting into my own music a little bit more as well, and recording at the house off Logic and that kind of shit. So I knew that, okay, my brand's building. I'm recognizable out here. Why not try and diversify what I'm doing and start to sneak up on the music tip, and in the meantime just make dope coordinated music videos. So that was, and keep up the relationships with our corporations so that we could keep steady income and things like that, but also up the game with the music videos, and then start to build something else. Yeah,
so you had what was going on already, and then you had this other passion of singing that you're that's something really important too for anyone who's finding success. Even with me doing this podcast, you know, do the 70% of stuff that's working, and then 30% try something new. Yeah. Because so I mean, your brother probably had a little bit of experience in that.
Absolutely.
You kind of where are you trying to go with your own music?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, I have I wasn't expecting that Tee Grizzley shit to transpire the way that it did. So a lot of the lessons, whether they be hard or hard lessons that I've learned, or easy breezy lessons that I've learned, a lot of them have been I didn't really basically I've grown in ways that I didn't anticipate. So I kind of just had to roll with it and learn on the way, right? So as I was going through these things, I was learning about them for the first time, managing with labels, certain invoicings, LLCs, and protecting yourself, and all kinds of business formalities, and things that I didn't think I was going to be there quite yet, but then I kind of had to get into these, or else I was going to end up getting hurt in the end. So with music, it's the same thing. I've been teasing it, I've been making it. I've been getting a lot of support, from producers, and giving me free time and free beats, and it's one of those things where it's I feel once I decide to pull the trigger on it, that I'm gonna have a shot. So I'm just kind of having no expectations at this point. Yeah. I'm just gonna let it naturally transpire and just do what I think is dope, because that's what's brought me to this point, is doing what I think is dope. Yeah. So.
And so real quick, how did you assemble a team, in the first place? How did you find John? And
right. Well, John in the beginning was just the person who I trusted the most, and we had, me and John have been friends since we were 3 or 4 years old, and I trusted him, and he, we had done short films together, and we did a couple little projects together. I helped him with a couple of his school projects and filmed it, and not only did I trust him, but he's a creative guy, and he's a dope storyteller. So I said, fuck it. Yeah, how about you come on with me? How about let's try this music video out? Let's do this wedding together. And then we veered for a while, and he went and he focused on his studies heavy. We were still boys, but just working was, to the side. So he went into his studies, and I learned solo. I made my process. I got equipment. I did a lot of things, and when I got to that point where I was solo, and I felt damn, I need some support if I want to go to the next level, that's when I ran into my man Everett. And Everett, he went to Specs. He's older than me. He's dope, but for all intents and purposes, he was still coming into my brand. So I built with him, and he's a dope DP. He's a very good shooter. We have different styles, so I think that our styles complement each other, and when I end up editing videos, you definitely see a little bit of both of us in there. So he also had a lot of knowledge, technical knowledge for being on set, and he had a lot of experience with being on bigger sets. He would PA and do that kind of stuff. So he kicked some game to me, and he also was another reliable shooter, and he put his input in with direction and stuff like that too. So starting off with him, in this new kind of BMVP team that's been established over the course of the last year, we linked up. we taught each other a whole shit ton. We did all kinds of crazy stuff together. We got shot at together. We got shot at together. We got
need to hear this one.
all kinds of stuff. And then John graduated, and I told him, why don't you come back on with me? There's money here, and there's opportunity here, and I trust. Like I said, trust is a big thing with me because everybody wants a piece of the pie, especially when you got when you're starting to win. Everybody's gonna try and capitalize on that. So John, I know he would never, he would never have any secret agendas. I knew where he's at. I know that he's dope and he has potential too. So I said, fuck it, come on, let's go. And he grew with us, and now that's the squad right now. The three of us have been, working hard and probably did, oh my gosh, so many music videos in 2017, and all coordinated, all with different concepts, all kinds of locations in multiple different states. So yeah, definitely a come up.
Yeah. So after that first day out video, or then you shot second day out,
Yep.
which I think that also hit like 10 million.
Yeah, 10, maybe like 5, 10,
million,
18,
something.
I don't know. And then we did No Effort, which was a big one.
Yeah, No Effort was like another follow up kind of like street smash.
No Effort was like his second smash.
Yeah.
Like he
did, like solidified it.
Yeah, that was like, okay, he's not a one hit guy. And then obviously like No Effort dropped and like it built, and I think it got 2 million views overnight, which was insane.
Yeah.
But No Effort built, and then I kind of like plateaued for a while. But then like Kevin Lyles from 300 made this No Effort challenge, like where people could like freestyle over the beat and like potentially get a record deal or whatever. And that like super spiked up the views again. So I got a second rush, which was dope.
Yeah.
And I got to work with Mike Epps, for No Effort.
Did you shoot that part in the beginning?
Yeah.
I was wondering because there's like two different scenes.
Yeah, no, we shot that, and oh my gosh, it was so cold. It was so cold, and Mike Epps was like complaining about the cold, and like we could only like shoot in like really short like moments and bursts, and like gosh, it's like sometimes we have like these jagged scenarios to work with, but we somehow make it work.
Yeah. And so how did you get to work with Lil Yachty after that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had definitely already solidified our relationship with T. He trusted us, and me and T actually became tight. Like I would show him some of my music, he'd fuck with it, and we would talk about video treatments, and we just kick it. He like came to my birthday party and shit, so we were cool, and like we both wanted to see each other win. And obviously, when D to the A dropped, it was a banger immediately. Like that's probably my favorite T song, and. I really like. I knew I wanted to shoot the video, but I didn't necessarily want to ask because I'm not pushy, and I try and let things like transpire organically. But yeah, when they asked us, they said, okay, so are you guys ready to go to Atlanta next week? And oh, bro, I could tell you about this story forever. Gosh,
what's like
D to the A was so
moments.
crazy to like put together. Well, first off, we did another video called Catch It.
Yeah.
With a live grizzly bear, and we shot that in California, and we shot that the day before D to the A. So like we took like a red eye flight to Cali to shoot that video, and then took a red eye flight from Cali to Detroit, and then like to shoot D to the A.
The whole team is going.
Yeah, the whole team went to Cali. The whole team came back to Detroit, obviously, and then just me and John went to Atlanta the next day. But I think we shot the whole entire D to the A in like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And like
how'd you get a helicopter on set?
Oh gosh, well, man, it's easier than you think, man. You just got to get creative. I mean, we do have Google at our fingertips. So.
Yeah.
So we got the helicopter. It wasn't even as expensive as you might think. Super dope. I mean, obviously, like I wanted the helicopter because like the theme of like D to the A like is like traveling, of course, and like. Okay, what's flossy helicopter? We couldn't do a yacht. We didn't have time. So we only shot by the helicopter for like 30 minutes because Yachty was like an hour and a half or 2 hours late. And then T, like right when Yachty got there, like hours late, like T had to go straight. He got called into to parole. So he had to go like straight there and like check in and like do like whatever he had to do. And that took him like an hour and a half. So like basically we sat there for like 3.5 hours and just like did nothing.
Yeah.
So when we finally got like 30 minutes to shoot with them, we capitalized as hard as we could, and then we like rushed down the highway to get downtown Detroit to go on top of the Penobscot where we did those like drone shots and stuff like over the city, and we only had 15 minutes to shoot there. So we probably shot in Detroit for only like 45 minutes or like an hour.
Yeah.
And then we all had to rush to the airport so that we could catch our flight to Atlanta. And this was right after we had, gotten back from Cali the day before and did a whole nother video. So we went and Everett had to stay home. So me and John, we hopped on that fucking plane. We were so tired. And when we got there, we only had a couple hours to shoot in Atlanta, and we shot at The Bluff, which is where Snow on the Bluff was, a documentary was shot with Curtis Snow and shit. So
not too familiar.
Okay, Netflix.
I actually just realized yesterday that the concept of the video, that some of it was shot in Atlanta. I wasn't paying attention to.
No, yeah, you're good.
I realized it yesterday. Like, oh wait, they went. That's why the helicopter's there. They went to Atlanta.
So we have, like I said, and
there's so much action going on in there. It's like
and we had to push it, man, because when you only have so much time to do something, you got to capitalize, or else that's one of those things where it's like we only have one chance. So it's like, we're not going to fly back to Atlanta. Like, there's no way these schedules will work out. And like, maybe we don't have as much time as we want, but fuck it. We're here. We're doing it. Let's do it. Let's get what we can and just trap it out as hard as we can. And
what's it like working with Lil Yachty or directing him?
It was weird directing him, just like it was weird directing Mike Epps, because Yachty he's particular. He's got his brand in mind, and he's got his style. And I didn't want to intrude, but at the same time, like, I didn't want to be like a bitch, and like I didn't want to be like walk on eggshells, because I mean, you can't walk on eggshells if you're a director. If you want to get what you want to get, you have to get it. So it was humbling to working with Yachty, and it was different than what I was used to, because I was used to people, giving me a lot of respect due to my brand and my name in the city. And Yachty, like, I was a nobody white kid. Like, he probably thought I was like some random Polish guy, and like, who was doing this video. So it was like definitely a different approach I had to have. So I would say overall it was humbling.
Yeah. A learning experience for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, just right there, I mean, I'm sure you can get into a lot, but that's just right there is like some big videos all like back to back to back.
Yeah.
I mean, now,
right back to back.
That video has like 20 million views. Like, all of these are racking up like millions of plays.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. And that, when was that video? Like 6-7 months ago, 8 months ago?
April or May, so not too long ago.
Yeah.
I think it was in April we shot it. So, or I guess, 6-7 months ago.
Yeah, and like, where'd you go next? Like, you've basically at this point you've actualized a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, from that streak, and now it's up to you to kind of like, what did you do in that next 8 month span, following up?
Well, definitely after we dropped all those T videos, I think we did 6. We had a lot of buzz, and we also did some videos with Nisha and Nashay, and she signed to Rock, and we had some cool things going on there, and we started getting bigger budgets, and we traveled out of town a little bit more for corporations. And I guess to answer your question, aside from just doing more work and more videos and diversifying our artists and diversifying our income, I started to realize, okay, I started getting recognized at like gas stations and at places, and people started, calling me by name, and it was weird to me. So I said, okay, I have a platform of some sort. I'm going to, and this is what I'm working on now, because we can do videos all day and night. That's not a problem. But now I'm trying to build this brand, like this like Hustleberry Finn, BMVP, like kind of over the top, kind of just creative, spontaneous brand. And just with myself at the forefront, and my team as well. And I want to build my YouTube platform, and I want to start dropping my music, and I've been getting crazy reviews on it so far. So like, you never know what blessings are waiting to happen. So I definitely want to build my brand, and I want to try and like strive to be like a household name instead of just being like known in like the community and like kind of like an Instagram thing. And I want to build a brand that's successful, and a brand that can speak for it can stand for itself. It's something that where it's like people anticipate a new rap song from T, like and people like might really like our videos, but I want people to anticipate the next BMVP video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead,
like something that they're looking forward.
Exactly.
For you guys, like all the way.
Exactly. And to have that, we have to have the right we have to have the right platforms and like, mediums for that. So we got to make sure that our website's popping. The YouTube channel's got to be popping. Social media's got to be popping. Everything's got to be legit and on point, so that like when people are anticipating, they know exactly where to go to get it. and they know exactly how to spread it.
Yeah.
So I guess right now I'm going to kind of like try and tighten all that shit up so that we can really like, rocket launch off into the industry, because we definitely have what it takes.
Yeah. I mean, are you getting interest from more industry type of people who want to bring your whole thing into their machine?
Yeah, we're starting to get interest now. I mean, and like I keep saying, we do some work with corporations, but bigger corporations are reaching out to us. Even after we did that Catch It video, I linked up with Sunny Digital, and he wanted me to get involved into his and into what he's got going on, and now we're working with more independent labels, and these are people who are willing to put like 5 figures into videos, and we're definitely like at that point where it's like, okay, if we capitalize now and if we sacrifice now, then we can set ourselves up for like not just doing it, but doing it our way, which to me is, I mean, essentially everything, because I didn't come into the game so that I could be like told what to do.
Yeah. I think that's what that's like the dream.
That's the dream. That's my dream, and that's Manny's dream. And I'm just thankful to have made it this far, honestly, but I'm not satisfied.
Yeah. And that's just what I was telling you before we even started recording. Like, you asked me, what do I want to do? I was like, well, I just kind of want to like do things my way and be able to live doing it.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we've hit on like a lot of like the major moments, the upbringing.
Right.
Is there anything I missed? I mean, explain the getting shot at story.
Oh,
like
gosh.
Super quick. Unless you don't want to.
No. It's okay. I'll. Well, this is just like some shit where it's like you all of a sudden realize, okay, I am in Detroit. We were on the West Side, doing a music video, promo video at that time, like a little $800 job like a year ago, and we're shooting. We don't really know these guys, and for the most part, it's been good. I've never really had anything stolen, or I've never I've been threatened, or like I've always been good. I've been respected. I've mostly just tried to be myself, and people get like a pretty authentic vibe from me typically. So I haven't run into too many issues, but I guess like as a result of not running into too many issues, this was especially shocking because my guard wasn't 100% up. And, we are in some of these rough areas shooting music videos in Detroit, like it is what it is. It's part of the game. And like, I was so used to it that I was numb to it. And it was kind of like, okay, well, here I am. I'm going to do my shit and I'm going to leave. But this particular time, I don't know if the rap artist had beef with someone in the neighborhood or what the fuck was going on. But, we're packing up, getting ready to go to our next location. And, there's some, our peripheral vision, we're in our car and we see some rustling in the bushes, and then out comes this kid, in a white tank top. We look and we see, something shining in his hand, and we both kind of look over like, what's going on? What is this? And then before we see it, we hear it, and it's like, poof, 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 poof. And it's that moment where it's like it takes a second to register, and then when it does register, you're just, all you can think to do is like duck. So I remember I went to go duck, like in my car, and so did, my partner, and we kind of like looked at each other as we were ducking, and we were like, what the fuck? And it was like, we weren't laughing at the time at all, but absurd, it was like, obviously. It was insane, and it was scary. So that definitely woke us up, and I thank God, we didn't get hit. Nor did the car. I think whoever, was shooting was filled with adrenaline, but, and most of the rounds probably just kind of went into the air or off to the side. But yeah, man, we got out of there and we said, okay, well, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to stick together for, a while. And 2, we're going to be cautious. And he ended up getting his CC dubs, and, we just upped our overall, our vision over our backs, and that kind of shit happens out here, and it's like I don't want to be in those situations forever.
I feel like I had to ask that because we dropped it earlier, and someone probably would have like killed me for not asking that. But it tells a good story,
Yeah,
it's not all fun and games all the time, especially when so a lot of these music videos, like, they're waving guns at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real, and the stuff they're talking about is real. someone might have beef with them or
Yeah, another time, man. I won't mention the artists, but and they were popular. But I was shooting a music video late at night, 18 years old. I had no idea where the fuck I was. I was like on 6 Mile, deep east, late at night, and for me it was just super normal. But like we were shooting and we had a little fire going on, and then like 8 undercover cops pull up and like circle around us, and like all of a sudden here I am like with this camera and like this $100 in my pocket. Like what did I just get myself into?
Yeah.
And they start asking for IDs and all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? You cannot be serious. But it's real, and it's like, it's not anything to brag about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying this now to brag about it. I guess I'm just saying this because it happened.
And those are the sacrifices that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Really. Like,
I mean, yeah, aside from your time and your comfort, yeah, sometimes you got to sacrifice. Sometimes, I mean, you got to risk it to get the biscuit, right?
Yeah. I guess. So what could people expect from you next? Like, where do you want their eyeballs at?
People can expect for us to always be switching it up. I thrive off of spontaneity, and I have a lot of really cool ideas that I have a great team backing me, and we are just going to constantly try and up the game in creative ways. In 2018 we definitely want to break a Guinness World Record. We want to maybe start drafting up our first film. I'm going to be dropping a lot of music. Definitely keep an ear out and an eye out for that. And we're just going to be up in the game. Our videos, everything's going to be more coordinated. Everything's going to be crispier. We're going to be investing in more equipment. We're going to be doing more vlogs. You're going to get to know us a little bit more. We're going to build and grow and expand, and we are going to probably take the show on the road a little bit too.
I like that.
Yeah.
The Guinness World. I'll just wait to see what the Guinness World Record is.
Wait on it. I can't. Every magician's got to keep a couple tricks up his sleeve.
But I'll link all the relevant stuff in the notes wherever you're listening to this, on YouTube, iTunes, wherever. Where do you best want people to connect with you, reach out to you if you said something that sparked their mind in this podcast?
Well, I guess right now, honestly, the best platform would be my Instagram. I'm working on developing my website. I have one. It's just not where I want it to be. And I'm also working on developing my YouTube channel. But right now, I guess the best way to get in contact with me would be my Instagram, which is at HustleberryFin, HUSTLE Berry FIN. And you can shoot me a DM. Also, if you go to contact, my email is right in there. We check our email regularly. And I think that there's like YouTube links, and you can find shit from there. But that'd probably be the place to start. And then my website is bmvpdetroit.com. And our YouTube channel is just BEMVP as well. So
awesome.
We're going to be working
on
all
that
that
linked up. Any last things you want to say? Final words?
Yeah, as a closing statement, I would say whatever you're doing, whether it be video, whether it be recording a podcast, whether it be going to school, do it like there's 80 million people watching. Because it's better to stay ready than have to get ready.
It could happen.
And if you stay ready, it can absolutely happen. And it can happen like you never imagined it happening before. It'll blow your own expectations out of the water. And I'm just gearing up for that now. And I can't wait to share it with the world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you, Justin.
For taking the time. First video podcast guest. Let me know what you guys thought. If you guys are listening on iTunes, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can see all the latest episodes. Leave a rating. If you're listening on YouTube, you can subscribe. Leave a like, comment below, and definitely reach out to us on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, to let us know what you think. I love when you guys reach out after you listen to the episode. Those are my favorite messages. I'm sure Nick would love to hear what you guys thought if you enjoyed this. And thank you once again for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Cool.
Dope, man. That was great.
How'd it go?